Mr. Barroso, you have just received the Sustainable Leadership Award. First of all, congratulations on that. This award has been conferred to you because of your landmark EU package and in your both tenures, and the second time even you raised the amount also. Now that happened at a time when there was a financial crisis that's still on. How difficult was it for you?
It was very difficult, to be honest, because the reality is that in Europe we have now 28 member states of the European Union with very different energy patterns and also with different levels of priority when it comes to climate change. But I think in these cases the solution is not to reduce the ambition but to enlarge the problem. It may appear a contradiction, but sometimes the best way to solve a problem is enlarging the problem. So not only to address the issue of climate, but to address the issue of energy supply, energy efficiency, so that the different partners, they can find in one aspect some compensation for what they believe they cannot get in other aspects.
As we talk about climate change, as different countries are talking about climate change, countries are already going underwater. For example, Maldives is already facing the brunt of climate change. So in such a case, how urgent is the problem?
The existence of some of our countries depends on a credible response. As you say, there are small island states that are threatened. There is desertification in some parts of the world. We have seen more and more natural disasters. So it's an urgent thing. And some may be feeling the pressure closer, but at the end it's the survival of our planet that is in question. That requires leadership, commitment of all the leaders of the world, so that we can keep this planet in good shape for the future generations.
What prevents us from reaching a consensus is the different stand of developing and developed countries. I mean, for example, countries like India has been calling for common but differentiated responsibilities. So how to end that deadlock?
I think that there are, in fact, common but differentiated responsibilities. I think the developed countries have been, of course, responsible for more emissions than others. So we have to find a deal that is fair. At the same time, I think it's a mistake to perceive the fight against climate change as a way to reduce growth. This is not true.
Issues of finance and technology transfer. Now you have a green climate fund, but if you talk to many of the small countries, they'll ask you where's the money. It's not on table.
No, the money is on table. Afterwards, there are sometimes problems of implementation. To be fair, sometimes the problems come from the late, let's say, execution from the richer countries. There are some delays, but there are also some delays, to be honest, in terms of the implementation from the developing countries. So I think it is important to have a system of monitoring and reporting. It's not just about making announcements, but to have something that is credible in terms of the monitoring and implementation of the commitments made.
Now the world is waiting for the Paris conference, hoping there will be some kind of binding deal there. How hopeful are you?
I am confident. You know, I've been following this issue for many years. I was already in 92 in the first Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro. I came there 20 years afterwards in 2012. I also was in Johannesburg in 2002. And I was in Copenhagen, where, unfortunately, a deal was not possible. But I think today we are closer. I think there is a greater awareness. We have two very important allies. One is science, that has confirmed that the problem is becoming worse and worse. Another is the public opinion, the educated public opinion. So I am confident that this time in Paris we are going to see an agreement.
Moving from climate change to economy, the current difficulties within the Eurozone, do you see you see the monetary union will be stable this year?
Yeah, I think so. I think we have been following and responding to this crisis for the last years, and the situation is incomparably better, much better. We have now some doubts because of Greece, the announcements by the new government of Greece, but I hope a compromise is going to be found. But you see that most of the other countries that some time ago had no access to the markets are now having very, very good conditions through the so-called periphery countries, from Ireland to Portugal to Spain. Now they have complete confidence of the markets. We have responded successfully to the financial crisis. We have created new instruments in the Eurozone, very strong instruments and new rules. Of course, I'm concerned in Europe with what is still relatively slow growth, but I'm not concerned with major threats to the financial stability.